Hey, good morning, everybody. It's 10:05. We're going to call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting for Thursday, April 30th. We're going to start by establishing a quorum. This is Mike Pipe. I'm here at my home in Bollesburg. Commissioner
This is
Higgins?
Mark Higgins. I'm at my house in State College.
And this is Steve Dersham.
Hey.
I'm at my house in Bell.
Okay, super. All right, we have established a quorum. At this point, we are going to go to the first item, which is public comment. Is there any items on the agenda that anybody would like to make public comment for? All right, hearing none, we'll take public comment as each item is under consideration. We're going to first move into the COVID-19 planning and response portion of the agenda. And we do have one item that we need to add to the agenda. And Margaret, if you'd want to let us know what that is.
Yes, as I just need to, just give me 1 second here. I closed my file, sorry. The
No,
item
no worries.
the item is for the Board of Commissioners to consider approving the extension of temporary furloughs and partial reduction of hours for staff of court-related offices until at least May 8th, 2020.
Thank you, Margaret. And so just from speaking with President Judge West, they're going to phase in the operation of the court, and they are going to start some video hearings, and they're getting the tech set up with that, with Chad and RBA, and then going into the week of the, let me pull up my calendar here. Then going into the week of the 11th, they're going to begin to bring more people back in May, and then potentially more back in on the 18th. So it's going to be a phased approach they're going to take to bring staff back. But there is a need for this next week, specifically with the MDJ offices and court administration, where in particular, where all of those staff would be looking to be furloughed for that week and partial reduction of hours going just for that week. So. And Kristen did send out a sheet that lists the people who we would be looking to do this to. And if Kristen, maybe after we look for a motion and a second to add it to the agenda, you can talk about how many individuals are on that list total and maybe highlight some of the offices. So at this point, we'd be looking for a motion to add that action to the agenda.
The item is actually already on the agenda under court offices, court administration, item number 1.
That's what I was just going to say, Kristen. Yes.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
Oh,
No, no problem. No problem.
That is my fault
No.
because I did not see that. Okay, I was looking at that list as individuals who were being furloughed. I didn't realize it was put under court offices. Okay, it should be separated out, but that's all right. Apologies.
no worries. No worries. Okay, so moving into personnel. We have facility management. We can run through these, Margaret. Maybe you can give a highlight on the need for each of these offices, and we can discuss each one if we'd like to.
First request for return from furlough is from the Facilities Management Office, Dustin Spicer. He is needed to help with all of the additional cleaning and responsibilities of the facilities office. The next one is from the GIS office for Sean Summers to return. The GIS office works very closely with the 911 office, and they say that their workloads are tied together, that there's an uptick in the 911 workloads generated because of the return. There will be due to the return of construction on May the 1st. So it is important that Sean be there to help with updates to the CAD system. Nick provided a lot of good detail on the his form that was submitted to you previously. Next one is planning. This is to consider the reinstatement of Ann Mesner, Senior Planner 1, Transportation, from a reduced hour furlough to regular full-time status. This is return is being requested because Mike Bloom's last day with Center County government is tomorrow. He will be the lead person on our 5 bridge projects, as well as the point person on local fuels, all of the other things that Mike has taken care of. Prothonotary, I'm not as familiar with. I know that Jeremy submitted forms for both of these individuals. I believe that with the increased workload of the courts, that they feel that their office will be busier than it has been, especially with more of the video conferencing that Judge West is planning. Public Defender's Office is a request. They still have some folks on furlough, but requesting that one person come back, Attorney Deborah Lux. She has a trial coming up, a rape trial on May the 12th. Dave Crowley shared with me yesterday via email that on Friday he was trying to manage many different aspects of her 57 open cases right now, and so it is important for her to come back, especially given the May 12th date. The sheriff is asking for reinstatement of 2 of his individuals, but at the same time he's asking to furlough 3 individuals who are assigned to the airport security and have reduced hours. So there would be the reinstatement of Emma McLeister, Deputy Sheriff 2, and Amanda Howe, Department Clerk 3, at the same time requesting reduced hour furloughs for 3 of the deputies who serve at the airport. And for court offices, it says consider reinstatement of identified individuals. I'm not sure who they are. I don't know, Kristen, can you speak to that?
Sure. Michael had stated he was waiting to hear from domestic relations and probation to see if there was anyone they wanted to bring back, so put in as sort of a placeholder. And I don't know if we've heard from them on any that they want to bring back now.
Yeah, the timeline for this was a tight timeline from the court standpoint. They received on Tuesday the notice that the Supreme Court was going to give was going to close courts through June 1st unless the local courts reopen them. So that just came down on Tuesday. So the judges were meeting yesterday in order to get a sense of things, and probation at that point had communicated that they could bring some people back in light of, again, reopening the courts. And so actually, as we're speaking right now, at 10:09, the president, 10:09, just a few minutes ago, President Judge West had sent over the names from probation. And so we would have those. But this, again, this was a placeholder because the judge had said she was going to do her best to work with Ryan Smelter to get them to us by the 10 a.m. meeting. And so there are 3 individuals on that list. Are you able to see those, Margaret?
Yes, I am. The first is Brittany Gaffigan. She has been out on full-time furlough, and they're requesting her return to full-time. Because they are conducting revocation hearings and emergency petitions, which are helping to alleviate the jail population, they feel that her work is necessary. Let's see. The court has also expressed their intent to start processing more cases to help alleviate the backlog. And when they start to see a higher demand related to court, they will need the 3 staff to help in that process. So that is the first individual. Jody Alt. On full-time furlough, request is to come back to full-time for pretty much the same reasons. And I believe there are 3, and the other individual is Melody Kane, a department clerk on full-time, requesting to go back to full-time for the same workload reasons.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. So again, we had the placeholder there, so we wouldn't have to add them to the agenda, but we would just recognize that again, it's Melody Kane, Brittany Gaffigan, and Jody Alt that'd be coming back from full-time furlough to full-time status. So with that being said, Kristen, how many individuals then would we have left on that spreadsheet that would be in the category of continuation?
Let me see here.
And this is just for court-related offices. We're not taking any action today on the non-court related offices.
I apologize for my dog. There are 20. There are 26 when we include, so it'd be down to 23 if those three are brought back as well.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Any questions or comments on any of these items?
This is Tom. I just want to let everybody know I will keep updating the spreadsheet to track all of this. So all the items that we had done through last Tuesday, this past Tuesday, I had updated the spreadsheet to show those individuals that were coming off of furlough, and I'm running everything through to the end of the month of May, except for these changes here where we have specific dates, so that the group can see the financial impact. And I'll keep highlighting and updating people as they come off or as they go on.
Great, thank you, Tom. Commissioner Higgins or Dersham, any comments, thoughts on these items?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm fine too, thanks.
Okay, all right, so then we would look for a motion to approve personnel requests for elected officials and department heads. And this would be both for the bringing folks back and also continuation of furloughs, reduction, part-time hours.
Motion to approve the 8 items under personnel for the COVID section of the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion, comments on this? Okay, seeing none and hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you. Moving next to the a personnel item in the Office of Aging. Margaret or Kristen, if you wanted to speak to this.
This is a education assistance request as has come through. We've seen in the past. We would have to, of course, confirm budgeted staff development funds. This is for Shira Corrigan through Edinburgh University for a master's in social work. Her cost is just an estimate because she does not have the cost of materials yet because, of course, the bookstores aren't open to purchase materials at this time.
Kristen, is this new or is this an ongoing conversation we're having about her education?
I believe hers is an ongoing. I'm trying to pull it up here. I apologize.
I remember her from before, Kristen. Yeah, she was somebody from before, and these funds were budgeted as part of the budget. I don't know specifically how much of this portion is reimbursed by grant funds. I can get that information, but again, she's somebody from before, and this was something that was budgeted at the beginning for the 20 budget.
Yeah, Steve, I was thinking the same thing. Go ahead, Kristen.
It is an ongoing program that they'd requested approval for, but we do it semester by semester, not for the whole lifetime of the program. So this will be for the next semester coming up.
My thinking on this, Commissioner Dersham, was since it's an ongoing one, there would be I'd be more in favor of doing it, but for any new ones, I think that we would not want to start anybody on continuing education at this point, just because of the uncertainty of our financial situation. So I think that would be my approach to take on this. But again, I had the same thought about that concern that we were starting out somebody who could potentially, these programs can get costly, and it's great people want to do continuing education, but it may not be the priority at this point.
I would say, since we are committed at this point, but for any further semesters coming up, we need to have conversation long before it comes onto our agenda.
Yeah, I think even. Go ahead, please.
Including this individual, I think before we okay the next semester, we really have to have some conversation about policy moving forward. Because I don't know how you can discriminate against one and provide for ongoing provide for another. I mean, she may have to wait if she's relying on us for her educational reimbursement. She may have to wait until after this crisis is over.
Mark, any thoughts?
Well, I think with this particular individual, we're kind of into it at this point. But yeah, I think we need to review, at least for the duration of the emergency, any new continuing education. We may need to ask people to delay that until the emergency is over.
So, Tom, just to get some perspective on this, do we have any other offices throughout the county? I do know that we did a continuing ed course, I believe in March, we approved that. But are there any other offices where we budgeted funds? And if you don't have that answer, it is in the weeds a little bit, but maybe if you could let us know in terms of other obligations we may have, but we may want to at a future meeting say we're going to discontinue doing any continuing ed classes until further notice. After if we would approve this one today, we may want to do that. But do you have any? Are there any bells ringing for other offices that may be doing this? And again, this is not continuing ed like a lawyer or somebody in the planning office,
right.
but this would be, you know what I mean? Yep.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I believe the only office that this is occurring in right now is in Ken's office, and for this particular position. I don't remember anybody else at this particular point. There were some people in the past, but those people have completed whatever they were going to do. So Ken is the only one that I remember within the 20 budget that had requested anything like this, where we're kind of matching a portion of what they're doing. So I will double check that though and let you know, but that's the only person I remember in the office I remember.
I know that in a previous meeting we did one for the district attorney. I believe she was doing a paralegal certificate, if I recall.
Right.
But that was paying her because she had successfully completed it.
Right.
Okay. Kristen, when is she starting this again? I'm pulling up the request on my screen here, but when is she looking to?
This is for her summer courses in 2020, so they'll be starting most likely mid-May, beginning of June for the summer. So
Date of attendance is June 1st. Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at it as well. So is this her first year? Or is she?
Again, I think this is something she's been attending.
Okay. All right. So would we look for a motion to approve it and maybe add to the motion a consideration of stopping any new ones as we go forward?
Motion to approve the personnel item for aging, approving the request for education program support. Also, as part of the motion, the commissioners will review the continuing education courses outside of courses required for planning and district attorney's office for the duration of the coronavirus emergency.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And your noting of the DA or planning, that could also be public defender, anybody who needs it in order to stay employed, essentially, that continuing ed. Okay. All right. It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions on this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion has carried. Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Okay. Next item, Margaret, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. As you recall, several weeks ago, we discussed a request received from the Centercrest Board of Directors, CenterCare Board of Directors, asking for the county's reimbursement for an elevator rebuild. Attached with the agenda today is a copy of the letter received from Centercrest formally asking for this reimbursement, and let me just pull it up here 1 second. The amount of the request to not replace but to substantially repair the elevator, the estimate to rebuild the motor is a cost of $46,000. As you recall, this elevator is under maintenance agreement with ThyssenKrupp. They've done all of the regular maintenance, but they say that the elevator is at a point where there are no parts to cover the repairs, and that's the reason for a substantial rebuild. They did mention in their letter that they have paid for general maintenance and repairs about $12,000 annually, and the motor rebuild does not fall within that general maintenance contract, in addition to the fact that there are no longer available parts. So the letter came from Chair Betsy Boyer, Vice Chair Lawrence Bickford, and just looking for some discussion and guidance about a response back to CenterCare. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. I'll share some thoughts. I think one of the challenges is that if we were not in a COVID pandemic, we would more than likely be looking at utilizing Centercrest early next year to utilize it in a refurbished fashion, potentially using it in some of the offices that we could move into sooner rather than later. But with this pandemic, it has changed everything. We have many of our staff working remotely. There may not be as much of a need for Centercrest as we thought from a county government related perspective. So I'm not necessarily inclined to do the full amount, but I could have some conversations about a partial amount, recognizing the fact that we will eventually take ownership of it. And if we can confirm that the fix would be for longer, if it's a 5-year or 10-year fix, I think that'd be helpful. Do we know, Margaret, if it's how long that repair would be good for?
In the initial discussions with them, they said the repair would be a 3 to 5 year fix, according to the ThyssenKrupp folks.
Okay.
The cost of replacement to the elevator would be over $100,000, and the length of time also comes into play because it would take a much longer period of time. The maintenance, as described here, the rebuild would be a 4 to 6 month process. So
yeah, so
double the cost and double the time.
And this is in addition, coming on top of the again, the parking lot that we had paid for. In addition, the boiler, I believe, or some sort of heat exchange equipment over there. And then in addition to the $500,000, so I believe all of those totaled is over $1 million in contributions we've given to Centercrest over the last few years. But again, we are going to take ownership. But I, from my standpoint, I would be willing to consider a partial amount, but not as much as they're requesting.
This is Steve. 2 questions. The first one being, how long is the repair going to take? And the second question being, when are they intending to be out of the building?
So in this letter, they say the repair to the elevator will take 8 weeks, so that's 2 months. That's a little bit faster than I had originally thought they were saying, but in the letter it says 2 months. And they will physically take possession of the new facility hopefully in December, but residents are not, they do not plan to move residents out of Centercrest itself to the new facility until February 2021.
So there'll be approximately probably a 6-month, 5 or 6 month period from the time that these repairs are complete until they are moved out. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they do say that the lack of use, I mean, the elevator is shut down, totally shut down, that it is impacting their daily movement of staff and residents. And that is an issue. The elevator that they're depending on, Andrew Noggle explained to me, is making terrible screeching, scraping noises. Even though it's safe to run, it is making noises that are concerning. And then they also have a third elevator, which is in good shape. Apparently, they use it more for like a shipping elevator, a service elevator, I should say. Although that could be used for staff and for residents. They have some security issues around the location of it, but those security issues could be worked out. But they do have one working well elevator out of the 3.
And how much are they asking exactly? What's the number?
The estimate to rebuild the motor is $46,000. And they received quotes from 2 other companies as well. So they got 3 quotes, they say.
Tom, how much do we have in our capital fund?
I believe right now it's a little under $2 million after we have the funds that we have set aside that are encumbered.
That includes all the construction at the courthouse.
Correct.
This is one of those pay me now or pay me later. I don't know. I'd be willing to consider doing the upgrade now. I don't know. Can we have some assurance that this will fix the problem and we can move ahead? Because whether it's a Centercrest issue or a Center County issue, we need to fix this elevator.
And again, my perspective is so if you think about, I mean, you know, you're familiar with the building, Steve, but I don't know from when we take ownership of the building, the place that's going to be the most convenient for us to initially move in is going to be the first floor to the right and a little bit to the left in terms of those meeting rooms where administration and finance and their other HR offices are. But I don't think we're going to have too much of a need to go upstairs even or utilize the elevator. You know, I appreciate the pay me now, pay me later, but I'm also concerned about precedent where if they come back to us in July and there's another thing they have to fix, I'd be willing to talk about maybe 10,000 to contribute to this. It's about 20%. We have no obligation to pay it. So I think that would be $10,000 that we're not obligated to pay. But again, we would do the physical plant overview once we get in there and see what it looks like. But I don't know if we'd have a need to be, as county government, moving up and down in that elevator. I'm not sure we do.
My suggestion is we have a further conversation. Let me think about this a little bit, and we table this and come back and revisit it perhaps next week.
Okay. Commissioner Higgins, any thoughts on this?
Well, we've between the parking lot, the boiler, the $500,000 toward the construction of the new facility, we've already given them something close to $1 million. Again, I think our potential need for the facility is perhaps a little bit downgraded at this point, especially in the near term. And I'm not sure we're really obligated to fix an elevator motor based on the contract that was signed a few years ago. So I'm willing to consider perhaps a partial, but they're running the facility, they're using the elevator. They have 2 other elevators operational. That's where I'm sitting.
Yeah, in addition, the amount of visitors that are coming into the building are very few because of the orders. And as we know from the red, both, in Pennsylvania at least, the red phase and the yellow phase is both where there's no congregate care they're still on lockdown. So until we get to the green phase, they wouldn't even be having visitors come in. So again, I don't know how much they're utilizing it from an outside standpoint, but again, they're partners with us. We will take ownership of the building, so a partial contribution is where I'm at. Steve, if you'd like to, if we want to take a week to mull it over, we could have Margaret let them know that we discussed it. It's under consideration, but we could give you a week to think about it if you'd like to do that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay. Is there any further discussion on this before we look for a motion to table? Hearing none, is there a motion to table?
Motion to table the discussion item regarding Centercrest.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on tabling? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Margaret, any executive sessions to report?
Report.
Any need for an executive session?
No.
Okay. We have a public meeting scheduled for this Tuesday, May 5th at 10 a.m., and we will be meeting in the Willowbank Building, 146. I am not seeing any members of the press on the call now, but just in case I'm missing them, is there any questions from the press at this point? Okay, hearing none, we would then look for a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:38.
Motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:38.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on adjourning? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is adjourned. Okay, we'll stop the recording and send it on to Natalie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We